March 2020. The world was hit by COVID-19 pandemic. Remember how we all thought, ah, just a 2-week lockdown. Work in pajamas, binge Netflix, life's good. But before we knew it, these 2 weeks turned into months, and soon we were Googling this. But on a serious note, 2020 was the year when uncertainty was no longer just a fancy buzzword. It was a way of life. A tiny virus turned into a pandemic and brought the entire world to its knees. And there I was, tasked with leading over 1,000 young minds of Delhi NCR as the district head of a social service organization. I was at the helm of a big responsibility. We have this beautiful blueprint laid out for the year 2020. Trainings, international events, community service projects, meetings, outings. But then, bam, all of that seemed to went down the drain. Our volunteers were falling sick. Their families were in distress. And I couldn't even step out of my house to help them. But isn't that the thing about uncertainties? They don't knock on the door. They just barge in and make themselves comfortable. So during that period of chaos, when I had a lot of time on my hands, I realized something about my mind. I realized that if you actually take a close look at your mind, it represents a triangle. But let me before tell you that I am not a neurologist. I figured this out, yes, and I am a doctor, yes, but not the kind who prescribes medicines or treats fever. I earned my doctorate in social sciences, and therefore I deal more with theory, classroom discussions, and research papers. So, after a bit of introspection and after digging out, I found that actually this triangle is just not a triangle. It's three characters who are residing in your mind, holding hands, and pretty much dictating all of your thoughts, actions, and emotions. Now again, since I'm a doctor and I'm supposed to do a proper research before arriving at any conclusion, I started observing each of these characters. What I found is that each one of them has their own unique trait, their entire way of handling a crisis, and their own strong opinions about what should be done and what can be done whenever there's a crisis. So let me now introduce you to each one of them. The first one is the planner. The planner thrives on order and color-coded spreadsheets. They are the ones who are an overachiever, always wearing those glasses and having a journal in their hand. Now, when everything's going smoothly, the planner is your best friend. They are going to detail down on every aspect of your life, from early schedule, the contingency plan, and even reminders for you to stay hydrated. But when a crisis or uncertainty strikes in, oh boy, the planner loses it. But there's a second resident of your house called the doubter. The doubter is like the self-appointed critique of your mind. They're the ones you'll find sitting in one corner of your mind, having a permanent frown on their face. The doubter's job is to highlight every possible thing that can go wrong in your life. And they usually do it in the most melodramatic way possible. They also have a knack for making the worst case scenario seem like absolute possibilities. For them, one failed event is like the end of your career, your reputation, and even possibly the world. But don't get them wrong. They're not trying to be mean at all. In fact, they think that they're protecting you. Now, the thing is, obviously the planner and the doubter cannot stand each other. It's like two opposite personalities residing in your mind and constantly being at war with each other. The planner is always trying to move forward, set goals, and hoping that things will turn out as planned. The doubter, on the other hand, is always trying to slam the brakes. Whenever an unforeseen circumstance comes up, the battle between these two erupts, and they spend hours and hours arguing about it. Then there is resident number 3. Come, the doer. The doer are the quiet ones. They don't make a fuss about everything, but somehow they always try to come up with an answer. They're the one whom you're going to find sitting in another corner of your mind, having a calm face, headphones on, and Googling solutions on their laptop. They don't overthink, they don't overplan. They just roll up their sleeves and get to work. The good part is that whenever there's a fight happening between the doubter and the planner, it's actually the doer who gets you through those tough times. But the sad part is, whenever a crisis strikes, whenever any uncertainty creeps in your life, we usually let the planner or the doubter take charge. We either panic about what's going wrong, or we get paralyzed by thinking about all the what ifs. But Resilient is all about giving the microphone to the doer. It's about silencing the chaos and asking, okay, what can I do about it? So, now let me tell you how the doer helped me in sailing through the crisis which was created by the COVID-19 pandemic. My first heartbreak came when our community service projects were thrown into jeopardy because of the lockdown. Now, as social service leaders, our entire role revolves around doing, helping people, uplifting communities, and spreading joy. But how do you do that when you're confined within the 4 walls of your home? How do you achieve that mission when the world is facing despair, loss, and pain? When the lockdown kicked in, my planner, who was residing in my mind, spiraled into a panic mode. We had this entire map for the year when we had planned these big social impactful projects. But now everything seemed to crumble. The panicker creeped in. Meanwhile, the doubter was whispering from one side, there's nothing we can do about it. It's all over. The world's anyways falling apart. So just let it be. But just then, the doer came in and said, okay, what can we do about what we have? Obviously, we cannot do big things, but why not do small things with big heart? And that's how Project Hope was born. Project Hope was a simple yet powerful initiative that was meant to create hope in the hearts of people, uplift the spirits of people, spread joy, and cultivate gratitude even during the difficult times. All this without flouting any of the lockdown regulations. Under this project, our community members committed to undertake small yet impactful acts of kindness consecutively for 20 days. This included anything from feeding the stray animals who were starving on the streets, to giving online classes to the underprivileged kids, to giving essential supplies of PPE kits and ration to those in need, and even sending thank you notes and gratitude notes to the frontline workers. Every one of our 1,000 plus community service members commit to these acts of kindness. It's actually going to converge into a habit of looking and seeing positivity even in the face of adversities. And we were absolutely right. What started as a small ripple grew into an entire wave of kindness. This not only transformed the people that were trying to help, but also us. But then came the second heartbreak. This time, it came with RILA. Now, RILA was our annual flagship event. It is a massive leadership workshop where we just don't give leadership tips and lessons, but also get the lessons in camaraderie, teamwork, and fight. Now, as the lockdown lifted after the COVID-19 first wave, we had started preparing for RILA. Again, they had planned out multiple things. We thought that because the lockdown had lifted, we were actually nearing towards normalcy. But you were wrong. just as we were executing and about to implement our plans, the second wave of COVID hit. And this time, it hit hard. Gamblers were banned. Many partners backed out. People's spirit was at all-time low. It was a total nightmare. At this point, the planner inside my mind yelled from one end. This was not part of the plan. There's no plan B. And the Bajauti guy from the other side, oh, not again. They are not going to ship this event in an online mode because nobody's going to take it seriously. So just give up, accept defeat, accept that is all. But just in time, the doer came, tapped on my head, and said, okay, things have gone wrong, but how can we turn it around? Now, honestly, by now it felt like Voldemort from the Harry Potter series had himself decided to sabotage all our plans. So the doer said, okay, why not collaborate with Voldemort? Why not turn Voldemort from an enemy to a friend? How? We figured out if we could not do an event, that we had planned, why not turn Ryla into as magical as Hogwarts? We converted and transformed our anger classic event into a Harry Potter themed virtual event. A virtual experience that nobody had experienced before. So imagine this. You use a smartphone or your desktop to log into a website. You hear the Harry Potter song playing softly in the background. Then you see witches and the wizard flying on their broomsticks on your screen. You click on a button, you're transported to an Instagram filter which places a sorting hat on your head, and then you are placed into one of the houses of Hogwarts. What follows is 1 week of interactive games, team building activities, and inter-house competitions designed to uplift the team spirit, fun, and camaraderie. What started as a logistical disaster was turned into an immersive and magical escape for hundreds of participants. Ryla was no longer just a leadership workshop. It was a portal to a totally different world. A world where leadership lessons were being served with a pinch of enchantment. It was a proof that when everything seems to fall apart, resilience and creativity can turn any challenge into an opportunity. Now, when I look back, I figured out that a lot of turmoil was created in my mind because all of those voices. But every setback, every crisis, every uncertainty taught me 3 big lessons. 3 lessons that now I want to share with you and want you to take back. The first lesson. Embrace the planner, but don't let it take over. The planner is going to grieve whenever there's an unforeseen circumstance. Let it grieve, but ensure that this grieving is short-lived. The second lesson. Listen to the doubter, but don't let it stop you. The doubter is going to place all sorts of negative images in your mind about what can go wrong. The trick here is, don't let the doubter take the steering of your mind. Rather, give them a backseat. Lesson number 3 and most important. Activate the doer. Give the microphone to the doer. The doer may not have all the solutions immediately, but they're definitely going to show you the right direction. The doer is the one who's going to change your questioning from why is this happening to me to what can I do about it. So as you navigate the inevitable twists and turns of your life, remember that chaos, uncertainty, crisis, and setback are not your enemies. They are your greatest teachers. If you cannot control the storm, you can definitely